fine.
Órale. So hi, Alonso, where are you? So tell me, you're from Mexico City or from where? From Puebla or
Yeah.
donde?
No. I'm from Mexico City, born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, where at?
Where at? I was born and raised in the south, so I'm a Tlalpan
Okay.
uh
Yes. So
kid.
I grew up in Colonia Educación, so near Tlalpan, near Tasqueña.
Okay.
But I have family. Most of my family is in Xochimilco.
Ah, sí?
They're,
Ah,
but,
cool.
but they're from Veracruz.
Yeah, that's way south. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really nice.
I was asking because who is it? Estela was from Huachinango, no? That's
Yeah, that's from Puebla. Yeah. Well, my father was born and he lived the first years of his life there in Huachinango,
uh-huh.
in Puebla, and so it's kind of just like a little personal reference.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so what so this is based on your experiences working in the restaurants in the US?
I mean, no, not in the US. In London, I
In
I
London.
was studying. I studied acting in London. Well, first in Mexico, and then I went to London. And I it's also based on a play by Arnold Wesker, a
Okay.
British playwright. But I worked part time to help pay my tuition when I was living in London, and I was working first in a place called the Rainforest Cafe, a kind of
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know the type.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the center of London, which is very similar to in Piccadilly Circus, which is very similar to Times Square and all that.
Mhm.
So I kind of that's where where I became really interested in the world of kitchens and also the play that the film is based on. It
Yeah.
deals with one day
Okay.
in the life of a
Okay.
very busy kitchen when things
I
go.
like it sort of there's also like the front of the house, back of the house love story. That's something that is not something you see, I think, too often in popular culture. So is almost has like a and then of course the difference in culture, no? It's almost like a Romeo Juliet
Exactly. Yeah.
theme to
Yeah,
it.
that was kind of what attracted me to it. Also, I spoke to I when I was writing this, I went to because I adapted it's based on this play, but it's quite loose, the adaptation. So there's a lot of my own experiences working in kitchen as well as the kind of the research I did. I went to New York and I interviewed um, many undocumented cooks in kitchens
Mhm.
and just gathered a lot of their experiences, and a lot of that ended in the script. And yeah, a lot of them talked about um, how it's something that happens seldom, this relationship between front of the house and back of the house, because
Mhm.
they are like two worlds that
Yeah.
are quite have a very clear separation. But I don't know. You tell me, like, what is it? What's in your experience? What is?
No, that's definitely so, my first job was actually at McDonald's. So I was in fast food, doing both, working on the grill and then working at the teller. But when I was in working through college, because I moved to the US when I was 11 years old, so that was a long time ago.
Mm,
When I was when I was in college, I worked at a couple of restaurants as a server, and had to deal with all the dynamic of just
yeah,
really abusive supervisors, of them docking your pay whenever if anything was found missing, or if I had customers that walked out, and that basically they took away my paycheck. I had to pay
yeah,
for their meals. But the work we do, when we look at what the industry is like, you have in particular, like, where you really are able to earn money is in the front of the house as a server or bartender in fine
yeah,
restaurants. and there's a lot of there's this segregation line, right, between
Yeah.
who gets to work in the kitchen and who gets to work in the front of the house. And it's certainly race, but it's also gender. I've been
Yeah.
looking a lot at how it operates in the biggest cities where you have the highest wages. And so women are a majority of restaurant workers all around the country. Women are a majority of restaurant workers all around the country, but in the big cities where they earn the most, they're actually a minority of servers. Um,
Yeah.
hold on, let me close the door here. Yeah, someone came home and el perrito se volvió loco. Um, you know, but a lot of the themes that are in there really resonated with me because we're working. Our experience has been that because of the pandemic, workers became a lot more cognizant of what they were wanting and willing to put up with at work.
Mhm.
That's you had this wave of people that left the industry because they were tired of really just of daily abuse, not just from management, but from customers and even from coworkers. Hostigamiento like
Yeah.
from every side. Um, and we actually saw wages go up in the industry because of that. They actually had to respond to the market instead of always like normally the industry gets to pay the lowest wages possible, but because people started leaving, it actually forced wages up, which was the
Yeah.
first time we've seen that, I think, in any significant way. So that's really significant. But it led us to create this vision for the future of the industry, which is the Restaurant Worker Bill of Rights, which looks at like a thriving life, time for healing and rest. And that's really key. People want time if they're sick, they want to be able to stay home, but they want vacation so they can spend time with their friends and their family, you
Mhm.
know.
Well, it's like, I mean, like what it's it's the basic minimum for a dignified life. Yeah, I,
Mm-hmm.
I I a lot of the people that I of my interviewees talked about that, about it's like we're not asking for much, man. It's just like a basic, like everybody needs a holiday, everybody needs some time off, and it is what the play that the film is based on, and also the film is about, like this idea that you cannot dream in a kitchen. There's no space for other, for other activity that isn't just strictly productivity. And it's crazy to think that that's just, we've never seen anything else. We don't conceive of another possibility, whereas in other jobs, that's already incorporated as part of, well, you need a bit of leisure, you need a good hour's break, you have paid holidays, you have all these things. And with a kitchen industry, it's that's just unimaginable.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely imagining it. We want a different world.
Yeah.
But I think you know there's a lot of people that love to work in the industry because they love food, they love to prepare food. There's people who are serving, they're like bringing people together. So there's a real beauty to it too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's the part we're really trying to focus on and make sure, we calculate that about 20% of the jobs are livable wage jobs, are jobs that
Mhm.
that give you some real opportunities. And so we do a lot of training to help people get into those jobs that aren't normally can't get into them, right? So whether it's immigrants, whether it's Black women, whether it's Latina women, or whether it's anyone that's normally excluded from those positions, we work to not only train them, help them with basic things like how to make a resume, how to interview,
Mm.
learn how to upsell, and then
Yeah.
also how to place, and then we help them with placements too in good positions. So there's sort of two sides to the work we do. One is the organizing to try to push conditions to get better, both through policy and through making sure the law is enforced. And the other side is actually building a ladder so people can get those opportunities as well.
Give me a second. One second. Sorry about that.
It's okay. But that's sort of the throughout that, even with the conditions, you see people striving, right? In the movie, you bring that out. People are striving
Yeah,
uh for that something different, no?
yeah. No, I'd be really curious to know what your organization and your colleagues make of it, when it rings true,
Hmm.
when it doesn't. We had a really nice conversation in DC with the people from One Fair Wage who
Hmm.
came to see the film, and then we had a post screening talk, and it was really exciting to see like these cooks who are part of One Fair Wage, that they I don't think any of them had ever seen like an art house movie, like a black and white movie,
Uh-huh.
but it
Uh-huh.
was really cool. They were really engaged with it, and yeah, it just kind of gave me hope, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Um,
great. Well, we're excited to be partnering with you and to be participating in several Q&As. We're going to have some of our members there to talk,
mm,
to join, and so we're excited about it. I don't want to give up any of the plot, but right from the beginning, you see some of those dynamics, right, of people being threatened with having their pay docked, with
yeah,
facing with the tension between different staff, between management, even among management, the sort of
yeah,
conditions you have, that like some managers want, they play good cop, bad cop in different
yeah,
situations, and all of that, right? So
yeah.
that was that certainly came through. It really came
And
through.
even the hiring process is really tough. No, it's like the the level of harassment in interviews and all of that. That's something that a lot of people that I interviewed talk to me about their applications, and how especially women obviously went through a lot of harassment to kind of had to endure it to get the jobs, and it's a common thing. uh,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah, we're working with the Women's Bureau on a project to try to end gender-based violence and harassment. So we're training workers around sexual harassment, how to protect themselves,
yeah,
because it's not like you said, just to get the job, but then in a lot of states you get $2.13 if you're a tipped worker, and so who's really paying your salary is the customer,
yeah,
right? So you put up with a lot from the customer so you can pay your bills.
yeah,
You put up with a lot from the manager so you can keep your job. You put up with a lot from the customer so you can keep working and keep getting a paycheck. Because in those places, which is most of the states in the South and around the Midwest and the Plains, you don't your check is almost entirely coming from what people tip you.
yeah,
So.
yeah. It's crazy, and that, I mean, the fact that the back of the house has no participation in that.
Hmm.
How does that work? I mean, I know that there's some places that arbitrarily decide. There's like a common decision to split the tips between front of the house and back of the house evenly. But it seems to be like a personal decision, right? It's there.
Well, it's technically illegal anywhere there's a sub minimum wage. If you have a tipped workers who earn less than the full wage, it's illegal to take their tips and share them with people in the back of the house. But there's several states where that's not the case, where everyone earns the wage and their tips can be shared between the front and the back, although
Yeah,
it really varies. I think customarily you wouldn't see too much of it, although I think more and more there's a little bit of a percentage that gets shared with workers in the back of the house. But in the states that do have the lower wage, if an employer pays everybody the same minimum wage, at least, you can legally share tips between front and back. Now,
yeah,
it might happen where it's not technically supposed to, where it's not technically allowed, but it's only legal if in fact everyone's earning at least a minimum base wage.
yeah,
And but it completely varies. and there's a lot of restaurateurs that want to that take advantage of that so they can pay people in the back more so they can get better staff as well in the kitchen, because
Mm.
retention's a big issue. Like most places, like you said, the conditions are terrible, and so if there's a lot of turnover as well.
Yeah,
And so if you're actually interested in maintaining quality staff, you look at ways to pay them better, treat them better, right?
yeah. I think one essential thing for the communication of organizations like yours, and we've found that, like, when we've screened the film, just talking, even that time that One Fair Wage came, and other times that we've had like people from the industry talking about the film as well, just sometimes like regular audiences cannot believe what, like, the pay that
Hmm?
the amounts, like the regular amounts, what the minimum wage is, what
Yeah.
below minimum wage means, and like people, it was really interesting to see how uninformed people are about that, and just hearing those numbers really creates a shock. So I think it's really important that is part of the message as well.
It's not only is it a shock, like the industry uses this. So, we've been involved in efforts to raise to get rid of this tipped minimum wage. Uh and the industry is able to scare workers into thinking if you actually get a wage, you're not going to get any more tips.
Yeah,
So they come out against a wage increase. Like the restaurants will take, they'll shut down for the day and they'll take busloads of workers over to speak to their representatives to tell them, don't raise my wage because I'm going to lose my tips.
yeah,
And people do not tip based on wage. They have no idea what people make. They have no
yeah,
idea what people's wage.
exactly.
That's not why people tip.
Yeah,
So it is definitely a crazy it's something trying to educate people on, but we're trying to educate restaurant workers because it's the industry has been, the National Restaurant Association in particular has been very effective at scaring workers that they're going to lose their tips if their wage goes up, which is not the
yeah,
case. I mean, if you've been to Las Vegas, if you've been to anywhere on the West Coast, if you've been even to Montana, people there get a full wage and you leave tips. You leave tips when you
yeah,
go to Vegas. Um, but I'm hope what one piece that has been troubling me a lot lately, and that and it's and that the movie really brings to light is the importance of immigrants in the industry, right? Like
yeah,
at least in many cases more than 20% of the workforce. And right now we're seeing this horrible wave of rage against immigrants across the country. Um, and at the same time, people are worried about inflation. If they actually got rid of all the immigrants they claim they want to get rid of, the country would be destroyed. It'd be like it
destroyed.
would be
Yeah,
destroyed. And so that's something that you need to humanize, but also what we're struggling with is how to make clear to people that work is so valuable to everybody, not just they're not actually stealing jobs, they're actually lifting up the economy.
exactly. That's really hard to get across, like for
Mhm.
people to really wrap their heads around that, to think like these this is the workforce that is putting billions of dollars every year into the economy, literally. Yeah, I read some numbers, like, I mean, I can't remember them now because that's not what I do. I don't work in policy. I don't, thank God. But I'm shocked just to hear, like, the I can't remember how many billions is calculated to come from undocumented immigrants every
Mhm.
year, pouring
Yeah,
into American economy, and people, there are just numbers that people don't know about.
yeah,
They have no idea that how much they're bringing, apart from everything else, apart from the cultural richness, and from the apart from the fact that that country was made by immigrants, but it's just literally kept running. The workforce is there's a huge percentage of it that is undocumented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And they're unfortunately easy to scapegoat, and
Yeah,
we need to figure out how to turn that around too, because it's looking it seems more dire every day. Just the fact that the percentage of people who seem to agree with that anti-immigrant message seems to be growing, and that's a problem.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you going to work on next?
I'm working on a Western,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's actually also has to do a lot with Mexican American relationships. I kind of like find that endlessly fascinating. So it's a Western, it's a border Western, and it's set in the 1840s in the Mexican American War when we lost half of the Mexican territory to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and it's based on a novel and an Argentinian novel, but yeah. So that's the kind of setting, and it so half the characters are American and the other half are Mexican, and it's kind of yeah this.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of intend to explore contemporary relationships through a historic uh, backdrop. So
Yeah. That's exciting.
yeah,
Uh, I hope I get to meet you at one of the screenings. I know
yeah,
we're
definitely.
I know we have some of our members who will be speaking in New York and in
Yeah,
Chicago, in LA, in Phoenix, and in Boulder, Colorado, I believe,
yeah,
as well. So
oh, yeah,
we're excited about that. Also, if anyone is interested in supporting our work, they can go to rocunited.org and donate. We're trying to help workers organize around the country to improve
yeah,
working conditions and to try to set the standard for what the industry really should be.
yeah.
People up. So we're really excited to be partnering with you
Now
on this.
so are we. No, so when we meet in person, I shall pick your brain more about, what you thought about the film and what parts you've seen also as a worker in kitchens, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, a lot of it for sure. I don't want to spoil any of it right now, so because we'll be sending some of this video out to
yeah,
people to get them to show up to the screenings.
yeah.
But yeah, I definitely look forward to discussing more. Are you living in the US now?
No, I'm living in Mexico City. I live and work here. Yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
okay,
yeah.
excellent. All right.
All right, my friend, I have to go, but I'll see you soon. I'll see you over there.
Claro que sí, a lo mejor en el DF también podemos encontrar uno de estos días. Pero
Claro que
aquí
sí.
en Nueva York lo más probable en Nueva York, lo más
Va,
probable en Nueva York.
muy
¿Sale?
bien.
Bueno,
Bueno,
muchas gracias.
al contrario,
Por
Teo,
todo.
cuídate. Chao.
Luego, chao.